and welcome back to Not in My Lifetime channel on this very miserable-ish Thursday evening in the UK during the summer period, but that's what we're used to in this country anyway, no matter where we are in the country. But before we get on to this Oscar Bobb and Premier League, reaction and predictions, that kind of stuff, how you doing, Harry?
Not bad, mate. Thanks for having us back on as usual. And yep, let's go because there's a lot to talk about, isn't there?
There absolutely is. I say, how's it? Obviously, the on the way in. Subscribe to the channel. Obviously, yesterday's stream was quite massive. There was 2.2k people watching at one time. Me and Tone discussing, obviously, about an hour about yesterday's BOBB news, and that was we're going to ourselves to discuss it after about a day afterwards. Obviously, but probably all the news now come out now. We're just going to sort of probably discuss it a bit more. But big up everyone for supporting us. We're on the road to 750, obviously, before we get on to 1,000. But we're actually doing really well on that so far. Trying to get there obviously as soon as possible, and always support, always appreciate it. Thank you very much, everyone. Cheers for that. Now let's get on to the before we get on to Oscar Bobb and the Premier League. I put a tweet out about an hour ago, and people will probably know what I'm on about here, but I see a few people having a go at a girl called Jess. Obviously, Jess, I can't remember the app, but there's a few Jesses in our families anyway. But particularly, people probably know what I'm on about anyway. She put out a post obviously of her wearing a shirt. I think she got it from DHgate or something like that, obviously for a cheaper price. Which is, to be honest with you, it's just the same kit anyway. Pretty much, I've got one that's also the same one that's same sort of fabric anyway, but. The point is, someone commented saying that you're not a proper fan if you don't bloody if you don't buy the kit from the club to help the club out, and people don't actually understand this, right? I mean, and the thing is, I think if this person must think obviously that it helps the club. Obviously, it does help the club, of course it does, but people need to actually realise that £100 for a shirt, not even just the kit, pretty much the shirt now, unless obviously you have the discount on the membership, which is still at £70 anyway. It's still ridiculously a lot of money. It's not easy for anyone to get that. Like, people don't understand how difficult it is for some people who haven't got the money to afford it. Why they go to these other sites that obviously I know myself personally that I get a few kits from for a very, very good price for affordable deals. But people don't understand how much it costs nowadays to sort of get tickets, especially are expensive now. Kits especially expensive. All the merchandise you want to get for the club is a lot of money, and you if you don't expect everyone to pay that, people are gonna it's cost almost like the entire paychecks every month to sort of afford it. And it sounds like I'm really whining here, but I mean, Brigzy, obviously you know yourself obviously about the HK obviously and the place you can get obviously kits from. But I don't get this opinion of people saying that you're not a proper fan of the club if you don't buy the kit. It's weird opinion that. What about you?
Yeah. So I've not properly seen what's gone on. So yeah, thanks for educating me on that. And to be fair, I think it's a lot of bollocks because what you've got to consider is, like you've just said there, match tickets, hospitality. If you're looking to go in the Man City hospitality, travel to matches, food and drink, souvenirs like programs, and obviously match shirts from like the actual club store at the Etihad. They are £80, £72 if you've got a membership or season ticket discount, and for the player or fantasy shirt, that's over £100. And then if you want your name and your number on the back, that's an extra £10. So all in all, you're looking at 90 to about £120, depending on what shirt you want. And this DH gate, it was you, Luke, that got me into it. And I was like, might have thrown you a few questions at the time, but it's been worthwhile. I've not worn my shirts yet. I bought the home and away one for this season. And I've got to say, I've felt the material and it's exactly just the same type as it is from the Etihad Stadium. So, I mean, my shirt was about £15. And you want to go to the Etihad and pay £72 or £100 if you want the player edition with a number and name on, you may as well go to DHgate. Now, you've got to remember cost of living crisis, like we all know, inflation. This isn't 2009 no more, where shirts like 40, 50 quid. I'm used to it from a city that is rugby league. Like, we have a rugby league city, and you have sometimes in rugby league, Hull FC, my local team, they have 4 kits. Man City doing that this season with that Noel Gallagher kit. Like, can you imagine like having a home, away, third kit, this fourth kit, limited edition, plus for Man City, your goalkeeper kits. That's 6 kits. Imagine 6 times 8 is what £480 just on kits alone. That's disgusting. You can go to DHgate and get that for like 20 quid a kit, same quality, same material. That's about 120. You may as well go DHgate, but some people, they've just got small minds and just think, you know what, I'm a keyboard warrior. I don't want to get political here, but the government did tweet on their official account saying, think before you tweet. That's what some people in the footballing world need to do about sites like DHgate. Think about their football opinions, because that was pathetic if that's true, Luke. Gotta say.
I won't say this guy's that because I mean, fun enough, I follow him. Fun enough, I mean, I don't talk to him anyway. I'm not going to at him because at the end of the day, right? Look, he said something. His opinion he's held his opinion. I'm not going to go at him for that. At the end of the day, right? We're all Tom's opinion here, but for me, it's a weird one. Like getting fake shirts for team you support is worse than buying a half and half scarf. I mean, no, it's not. Seriously, a half and half scarf is touters doing that. That's touters doing that. And look, if you want to buy one, be my guest. But for me, I just think a kit is a kit. It's still the same kit you buy anyway. Basically, City are only pricing that at that money because again, it's because it's the club. It's from the club, and they can price it that way. But the problem is, the reason why they price it over in Thailand or whatever is because it's quite more affordable over there, and it works out with the same sort of currency. It really should be. I mean, I'm not saying it should be like that cheap anyway. I'm saying it should be like maybe like 50 or 40 anyway. But it's like people need to think that like if you generally think everyone should be like buying stuff and for whatever prices because it supports the club. I mean, look, he said that basically you celebrate our superstar players. They come with wages. I'm the to buy shit. It's just like kids have that. Kids have these days have no idea how good they've got it. Mate, are you kidding me? Are you kidding? 50 quid shirts were a thing like 10 years ago, maybe less than that. Like it's only recently that it's out of control. The last 5 years or so, it's like it used to be like 50 quid. I mean, it's still a lot then, but then it was a lot more affordable then. But 100 quid almost for a shirt is a disgrace. And I know it's not the whole point of the actual body stream we're doing here, but again, what I want to say, like, don't feel guilty if you want to buy a shirt from them because at the end of the day, we get it. It's hard out there. Wages are nowhere near enough right now to actually afford obviously what you want. It's not a political dream, and there never will be. But it's a difficult world out there. I get it, and people need to understand that we're here to obviously support the team and back the team. If you can find a way of getting a shirt for cheaper, good for you. Hopefully, obviously, you actually do that. But don't feel pressured or don't feel like guilty by people like that who just don't understand your situation. If you know what I mean, mate. It's just I'm not fan of that at all.
Yeah, I just think, like I say, this limited edition shirt, you've got that coming. So that's 4 kits: home, away, third kit, limited edition, no Gallagher, plus
probably
the 2 goalkeeper kits.
And probably a Chinese New Year kit as well next year because it's guaranteed to do it every year.
Oh, right. So it could be 7 then, because what I was going to say, don't forget the goalkeeper home and away goalie kit. So you're talking 6 times 8 is 480. So imagine splashing 480 quid just on football shirts. Don't forget, right? Like you say, you don't want to go in political and all about finances, but look at the state of like video games. Like we're the same age, more or less. Remember, like FIFA 10, FIFA 11 was like 50 quid for a game. Now it's like 80 quid.
100 quid
gone up. You can't justify it.
It's like 100 quid, does it, for like a game from a pre-order it? It's like I get the thing. People like, oh, but things are more better to make now. Like, are you really sure about that? Like, what? So we gotta. Well, look, I get it if that's the case, right? But the thing is, you can still like raise the wages of people to sort of match that because. Not honestly, right? No one would care, right? If their wages actually match the prices of these things. No one would care whatsoever. I probably would buy this stuff from the club shop if obviously I could afford to do so quite quickly. But I thought, what's the point of spending 100 quid on a shirt? Well, that's 100 quid that you could have used towards something important, like obviously like car insurance or whether you got a fall each month. Like it's like where you can go on DHgate and get like a few. I got a few. Obviously, I got a Norway kit, France kit. I got a few kits I wanted to get from obviously Euros now. I got it for like 80 quid for like 7 kits, something like that. I thought that's great value. Yeah, I had to wait like 2 or 3 weeks to get them, but I thought it's worth the wait. It's worth the wait. So I just think people need to just chill out a little bit. It's shirts. It's not a big of a deal. End of the day, right? That money, the money you spend on that, right? Obviously, is going to, obviously towards you sport club anyway, and also surely it shouldn't matter anyway because the club get money anyway from tickets anyway. Just look, people need to realize it's not your money; it's the club of that. If tout was ever banned, and by the way, it never be banned. Even if it's been illegal, it's still find a way to do to get around it. People need to realize, right? Until it's made illegal to do that, then fine. But people, you got to think about it. In the current world we live in right now, this is the way it is. It's too expensive these kits nowadays. Just suck it up. Don't give a shit about anyway. Focus on your, support the club, and don't worry about other people doing the money. I think that's probably it. Anyway, for the first 10 minutes of the stream, but I thought let's get that out of the way and discuss it because I'm not going to sort of let that slide. It's not fair at all, man. See people have a go at people for what they buy. It is what it is. Let's just
I'll just say one more thing, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, it's not the same kind of conversation regarding shirts, but it's like Big Steve on his Instagram story, if you saw that yesterday, about tickets and ticket touting. He made a big speech on his Instagram saying, I've helped people go through right kind of people to get cheaper tickets rather than going on ticket tout sites and paying like 4 times as much the value and being like ripped off and you're not getting your guaranteed ticket. Like, at the end of the day, Big Steve, same with Ticket Man City, sorry. These guys are helping us get tickets, us proper blues, to get to matches at affordable prices rather than going on these like tickets out sites and getting ripped off and not guaranteed the tickets. Why does it affect some people what they spend their money on, whether it's match tickets or football shirts? There's people out there that are trying to help people like in the footballing world make things affordable. It's no one's business but your own. So just relax on it and think about what people can and can't afford before jumping on the bandwagon and saying, oh, you're cheap, you're tacky, you're just a cheapskate. Get over it. Honestly, get over it.
Exactly. That was a big up, Nick, because it's already happened, mate. As I've had a lot of time. Honestly, if it does again, then I'm grateful to have been alive to have seen this, great club, obviously, and what we've done. But, mate, this season brings more, more hope, more dreams, more potential to come. So that's one trophy. We'll quote unquote it because it's not a trophy. It's more of a little medal that you get, sort of, start of the season. But obviously, if you do win it, that's great. But it's not really important anyway. But let's go on to the big news yesterday that came out. Obviously, Steve put on his story, Tone. A few people obviously come out and sort of had news about it. Oscar Bobb broke a bone in his leg. I'm not sure what bone he broke, but I know it's a bone in his leg. Obviously, hasn't been obviously assessed yet, but it's looking like it's going to be a 3-4 month, injury recovery, which is a real shame because Oscar's been probably our best player this preseason, and I'm really, really gutted that he's going to miss his first 4 months. Look, don't worry, it gives Savio and Doku a chance to impress, but Bob was the player that everyone, not even us, by the way. Rival fans should look forward to seeing because a lot of them actually like watching Bob play because Bob was one of the players that everyone liked to watch. And it's a shame because he really deserved that chance to at least prove himself. And it just feels like, again, it's a real bloody. I feel so sorry for him because he's worked so hard to get into his first team, and now it's had this happen to him.
Yeah, I think last night when that news came through, I was at work and oh my god, I stormed my foot down, I stormed my legs down, kicking and screaming, like thinking, "Fuck's sake!" I was like, when I saw that news, I thought someone was just having a wind up. But then when I saw more tweets, I'm thinking, this isn't real, is it? Oscar Bobb, how good was he in pre-season and at Community Shield? And you saw that first hand, Luke, with you being at Wembley. That assist, that skill to put the assist on as well, his footwork. And obviously, all of a sudden, now, just out of the blue, he's injured like 3 days before Chelsea. It can't get any worse than that, just for a young talent who's been absolutely phenomenal in the last month, just to get that kind of injury. I think it's his tibia or fibula.
Yeah.
And I'm not being funny, right? But it's all right saying time frames, but you got to think of uh, recovery, rehab, physio, match fitness, sharpness. I think it'll be a little bit longer just for them reasons only, because you can't just expect him to be out for 3 months and then jump back in the saddle. All's well. It's going to take him ages to build up again. Not just that, his confidence, because he's at a young age where, yeah, it's all right for his young age, but his confidence will be shattered. He might be thinking right now, my dream's over. I was just about to cook for Man City in pre-season, go carry that into the league, and now I'm having this injury. Fuck's sake! But Oscar Bobb, it'll just take some time for him for the recovery and rehab. Same with like his mental side of things. But we all wish him well.
Absolutely, we do wish him well. And look, I think that personally, I think he'll come back and really kick on. I think he'll be fine anyway. I think it's not ideal because it's now that those 4 months. It gives Savio and Doku anyway at time. Look, don't get me wrong, right? I'm not panicking, but I'm more the fact that I think we need now more than anything, it's two players that we need now rather than just one. A midfielder, obviously, and obviously a winger or attacking player that can sort of help out in the attack. Obviously, that's what we need anyway. But it's just a real setback, a real shame. It's just after getting on the Chelsea on Sunday, and you get this happen. It's like, damn it! Just what a season of free of injury concerns, and we've got another one going on. It's like we can't just have nice things, can we? We can't just have nice things, and actually enjoy a good team being built, a young team coming through like a Bob, Rico and Bob. Unbelievable, obviously on Saturday. Obviously, both them two on that right hand side were unbelievable. They both put shifts in. They were brilliant. Rico and Rashford, man, he kept them quiet. I know Rashford had a chance to hit the post, but I watched him enough times against him, and he kept him very, very, close to that. I think that's brilliant. The fact that he's sort of playing right back, in addition that he's not always playing in for us, but he's sort of showing that kind of hard work and never say die attitude is going to be big for us this season. For Rico, but for Bob though, it's a real shame because I think on Sunday he probably started Sunday against Chelsea. It would Bob, probably Grealish, obviously, if he's back, or Bob or Doku. I think Doku especially as well. Doku was good for me. Look, again, passing and shooting isn't the best for Doku, but his pace and dribbling and skill is unbelievable. I think the fact we've got him and Savio as well, we've got some good wingers there that can sort of really spice up a little bit. But it's a real shame that we've got the middle one of those players that was so important to us this preseason, also even last year as well. So I just hope it's not massive long. Hopefully, it's actually a quick recovery. I'm not saying I went and rushed back, but hopefully, in a way, his body actually recovers quicker than expected. And you're able to get back, obviously, into it in a very safe and obviously fit way. I don't want to be brought back in immediately, but obviously, if he's obviously fully fit, obviously, and obviously recovers properly, and he's not having any issues with it, I'd love to see him back in, obviously, start new year, hopefully, before the running starts. So at least we've got one player coming back at least for that running, but it's not ideal for us right now anyway.
Yeah, I think obviously our wingers, we are stacked with wingers. You've got Grealish, Doku, Savio, Bernardo, and even Phil can cover on the wing if necessary. Don't think I've missed anyone out, have I? Obviously,
Yeah,
Bob. But
yeah,
our wingers were stacked. But just off the last month, Oscar Bobb had to be starting on Sunday just because obviously he's brought a lot of quality. He's brought a lot of like imagination to that team, that dynamic, and obviously with respect to Chelsea, they're all over the mud. We'll get into that later. But Oscar Bobb had to be starting for me at Stamford Bridge. And obviously, just when he's got that kind of injury in training out of the blue, it's going to be a kick in the teeth mentality wise for him because obviously, young age, like I say, he's got a lot of years to go. He's got a lot to learn. And this injury, yeah, short term, he'll be thinking, yeah, fuck's sake, I'm injured. I can't believe it. I think my career's in the bin here. You might be thinking that, or you might be thinking, as today, you might be thinking, you know what, this injury might be for the better of me. I've got a lot to learn. I've got a lot to train up on. I need to be better than ever when I come back and can hit the ground running and where he left off when he gets back. What you said about Rico Lewis, I think I've said it on this channel before. I think now he needs to be considered not an academy graduate. I think he needs to be considered as a starting player because he's bringing a lot of experience to himself and the team now. He's not like one of these new boys like Nico O'Reilly or Oscar Bobb, if you like. He's got to be starting more games. And I think I've mentioned this before, I might not have, but there might be a few games where Rico Lewis can do the John Stones role by inverting, playing into midfield, passing through the lines when he's in that midfield gap, what John Stones does. Before you know it, Rico Lewis can do that. And right back, there could be a bit more flexibility to like maybe bring a Kanji in or a new right back, whether that be like Carl Walker or maybe in a couple of years, it could be a Frimpong that comes in there to allow Rico Lewis to go a bit more advanced into midfield. Rico's got the world at his shoulders as we speak. He's no longer, for me, an academy graduate. He's more like a first team player. And dare I say it, I think Rico Lewis, when we said about an Oscar Bobb, when he was getting linked to Newcastle, I said that was total BS. I stand by that because there's more minutes for them both, especially when Oscar Bobb comes back now. There's more minutes for him. So you can't think Rico Lewis, Oscar Bobb at the time going to Newcastle because there's plenty of minutes and plenty of experience for them both. And it'll just help long term for them to play more and more. And they become more part of the team, especially when the next summer, like Kevin De Bruyne's, Bernardo Silva's eventually leave. Rico Lewis can slot into the midfield role very well.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not like negative for the season. I think it's more the fact that it's just annoying that that's happened now. Like, I would have loved to have had everyone fully fit. Well, I know Rodri obviously went and the but everyone with injuries, we'll all come back in team back into obviously a new look style of play. It'd be nice to look sort of seeing that happen. But I mean, look again. Yeah, all good down. Sorry,
we're here. Don't worry.
Yeah, sorry. But I mean, don't be wrong. Right, I'm not like we've got Savio, we've got Doku, we've got Jack. It's not like it's at the end of the world, but it's just one less thing that we could have really used starting the season off. But hopefully, we'll get news obviously on an actual official diagnosis, obviously official like time frame obviously going forward. Obviously, I imagine the next couple of days, hopefully, or maybe the next week or so. But it's not ideal, but I think for me particularly, that shows that the club, especially obviously today, obviously as Romano came out today this morning and said, I think we're looking at a midfielder and an attacker, aren't we? So I think obviously a striker or something like that. So
yeah,
obviously it's good we're doing that, but I've got to ask this anyway: why now? I know Alvarez left about like a week ago, right? But surely we would have known he wanted to go anyway. Why are we doing this now? I mean, because the thing is, everyone's going to know we've got money, and it comes from the Alvarez deal. Again, I'm not saying much difference anyway, but it's still, we'll have to try and bargain the players. I mean, look, if we're getting Eze on a release clause, I wouldn't mind that personally. I think that's a good player to have in the squad. Same with, but obviously with Bruno, that's different because with Bruno, it's a hard one. I mean, if Bruno wants to come to City, we'll get him. But again, are we going to be really haggling around for the last 2 weeks of the window with Newcastle to pay probably £100 million again for a player? When last time, I'm not saying Jack is the issue, by the way, but if we're going to pay that again, it's got to be on someone really world class for me. Because Bruno for me isn't at that price. I know Newcastle will say otherwise, but me personally, he's probably more at a £70 million player right now. Maybe towards 80 if he gets better and better this season. I just feel like we've got to just, go for the right player. I'm not saying that. I mean, for me, I probably would go for, if I had to go for two players right now, if we're sort of at cover, I'd go for Eze as a Mendy. That's what I go for. Zubimendi's a good backup. I can do a great job, probably get it even better towards obviously the level of like Rodri, obviously at the time, as he obviously a bit younger than him. Obviously, you got Eze, who's young, versatile winger. False nine, you can do a lot. It'd be a good play to have. I think we just if we get them two players, perfect. That's great because I'm not asking for ridiculously insane signings right now. That's more for next summer when Musiala obviously players like that obviously a linked to us. But I think we all knew that that next summer we always said like next summer we'll be one anyway. Where like Verts or Musiala will obviously come in obviously for like Kev or something like that. But for me, Eze, Zubimendi, those are what I go for. And you say, right, that's the squad. Covered on all bases. Obviously, Calvin's gone, but I don't really care anyway. And neither do you. I'm not bothered. Look, the guy did well for 2 games at centre back in pre-season. He wasn't even playing DM.
So you don't make him Pram Maldini just playing like that in centre back in friendlies, though.
Exactly. No one cares. Like, look, obviously, if you're a Calvin fan, I guess, but if you're obviously if you're like a realistic fan, you do. Yeah, it's that. And the thing, one always been the fact is that we can't sell this guy. I'd rather just sell him.
It's the same with Cancelo, though, lad. If you think about it, you can't sell Cancelo. How many loans has he had?
There's 2 now. I mean, possibly. Look, if he the thing is right. I said before, if he apologized to Pep, right, and the fans said sorry for what happened, and I wouldn't mind giving him another go. But the problem is can we trust him to deal with being a player that rotates with Vardio, Ake, and him? I'm not saying personally. I'd probably play Cancelo left back if he was to come back. I wouldn't mind it. I'm not saying he's good at the back, but I'd rather have someone like that playing inverted as well in the midfield. So we get Vardio and Diaz and that. I wouldn't mind having that player back in the team, obviously, but we've got to be real here. Is he going to apologise? Probably not. No, because he thinks obviously he's probably right. But look, as far as I'm aware right now, on 15th of August, he's still here. So he could be here.
The bigger picture is these players, like you say, Calvin Phillips, Cancelo's, you aren't going to get money for them now because last summer was the final straw to sell them both. I think you're going to have to run the contracts down, and by that I mean run the contracts down, but loan them out as we're doing like with Calvin Phillips now.
Yeah.
Same with Cancelo. Whenever there's a buy that'll come in, you're just going to have to say, you know what, we're going to have to take their big L here and just terminate contracts for them both because it ain't working out and we aren't going to get a fee.
Exactly. I mean, a bit up Nick here in the chat. So who do you think will shine more? Now, I think that Bob, honestly, for me, is more of a. We'll review that when he gets back, obviously from injury.
Yes.
And, yeah. Savio, he'll be brilliant. I watched him when he came on. He didn't do loads, but when you saw him on corners and running down that wing, he looked brilliant. He's a very versatile, but also a very quick, rapid, skillful winger, and we haven't had that for a long time. So I'm very excited to see more of Savio on Sunday. I imagine probably on the bench, but him and Doku on the wings, man, they're going to be something to watch. Him and Haaland up front with De Bruyne. Also as well, also going to McAtee in a bit. When the Kevs came on for him that second half, right, that the United team shat themselves because because when Kev was running, I thought, okay, he's not slow, he's still quick then. And he was running, and you saw Haaland run. I was like, if we get this spot on with Savio and Doku and whoever on the wings of De Bruyne and Foden and Haaland, that's a team right there, mate. That's a team.
It's like the Sterling and Sane days. We've not had that full pace on both sides for a long time. So this is going to be new to us all. It's going to be fresh.
Mate, to these people that just joined us, obviously, not on the stream, obviously, but in City recently, if you don't know the Sterling and Sane and Aguero front three with De Bruyne and Silva and mate, that team
formidables.
Mate, don't get me wrong, right? I love the Haaland De Bruyne era anyway. I still love that. It's still brilliant. It's the adrenaline you get when you get De Bruyne Haaland link up. It's like nothing I've ever set in my life. But it's like when Silva and Aguero, De Bruyne Aguero did it. It's just that kind of like level of yes, like you knew the level of players you were watching. But for me, that 17-18 team when we beat Watford, was it about an informed Watford, by the way, 6-0 at their place.
6-0 in the final.
And then obviously it was in Watford away at Vicarage Road. We won 6-0. Was it?
Yeah,
was
6-0.
Aguero hat trick, De Bruyne, David Silva's goal. It's just honestly 17-18 was personally for me.
Even Arsenal away. That 3-0 after the cup final.
Silva, Aguero, De Bruyne. Oh. Mate, that was when Kevin De Bruyne for me really stood up in those first few years on the Pep. Like Kev, I mean, we all knew Kev was probably one of the best players in the team, obviously under the radar, but you saw it really coming into his own. I mean, even in Pep's first year, he was unbelievable. He got loads of assists, goals. He was all over it. I mean, him and Torre and Silva were brilliant to watch. And they're pretty good. It was an insane midfield to watch. But I know off topic here, but it's just not sort of reminisce about that awesome team because Champions League wise, it wasn't good because our defense was terrible. It wasn't terrible. It wasn't good enough in Europe. Like
there was no structure,
and like in the league, it was fine. But you know yourself, right? We got caught on counter. Like Liverpool cooked us. And fair play Liverpool. That Salah, Firmino, Mane team, man, was elite, man. I don't care. Like that front three was awesome to watch. Like Salah ripped us apart. Mane. those two teams then were unbelievably high level teams to watch.
And
Week in, week out.
dare I say it, the Ollie against United, because obviously the way he just parked the bus and just counter.
Martial,
We,
Rashford, yeah.
we just struggle against the Ollie, didn't we?
Well, even on Saturday, right, the counter attack from United, you saw it yourself. Like it was still like it wasn't that Rashford was terrible; he was absolutely useless. But when you watch Bruno, obviously with that offside goal, but it was you mean like they were really on. They should probably have scored like 2 or 3 passes if it wasn't for a few things here and there. But I just feel like for me, when I look at this current iteration of obviously it's still very unrefined, and anyone watching this right now, don't expect this team to start coming instantly good straight away. It took us a while, but we'll get there.
And there's a place missing.
Exactly. But the fact that when Kev came on, I was surprised at how fast he was playing. I know it's like a little bit of game time, but you watched him. He was sprite. He was running around. I thought, right, if he could keep like that for the season, brilliant. Because I think for me, right, I'd give Kevin another deal personally. I'm not saying a long one, but another like 2-year deal would just sort of like ease him into more of a bench player. But I like to at least see that personally for me. But I don't know. I just feel like watching these players come on. Obviously, the more experienced players come on, it really repelled infection to us all like McAtee, because McAtee wasn't bad, but I'll be honest with you. I said this for recently. Why did it take Pep 2 years to do this? Why did we have to wait? Why couldn't you just do this 2 years ago? That's what I understand.
I genuinely think with McAtee, what you've got is the same with when we signed Jack Grealish at Aston Villa. Jack Grealish was the big fish in a small pond. Now he's the small fish in the big pond. That's the same with McAtee. He was like the big fish in a small pond because he was taking that Sheffield United team, as shit as it was. He was one that was creating chances, passing between the lines, making these diagonal runs. Now he's got to get used to the Man City way and adapt to that style of play because he's been away for 2 years and it's different players to what it was last time he was here. So he's now the small fish in the big pond, and obviously there's going to be high expectations, obviously, because the gap between City and Sheffield United, one's a top Champions League club, one's a bloody Championship club. The expectations for McAtee are going to be unrealistic to what they are at Sheffield United because he's got high standards, he's got a ceiling to perform, and if he can't cut it when he gets his chances, Pep might say, "You've been out on loan for 2 years. I've given you a chance when you've come back, and if you don't cut it, you're out the door." But if he does cut it, at least we've got some replacements for like when Kevin De Bruyne needs a rest, or like if we need to put him out wide as like a versatile player if necessary. If he does cut his way, that's what we've got. But I think this season for McAtee, I know he's still a little bit young, but I think it's make or break because he's had his 2 years of development.
Yes, and look, don't wrong, right? I hope he does really well. But from what I watched of him in that game, and bear in mind that it was a friendly. It's a lot more serious than previous games he's played. He, apart from the shot against the post, I didn't really notice him really. Apart from like a few odd passes here and there, and I'm not saying he played badly. He didn't, but when you're a player of McAtee's ability, you've got to be able to find a way of getting into the game. And don't get me wrong, Haaland should have done more. But Haaland needs to get on the ball more. I get he's trying to find the supply, but he needs to create. I want to get him on the ball. Say, right, have a shot. Yeah, that's the ball. Just bang it because we know how good he is at that. Kind of long range goals like Dortmund. The chip and the mad Ibra kind of goal he's got. He can do all that kind of stuff easily for him, but he needs to start showing that he can do that, because I think for me it's at times he relies too much on supply rather than actually going for it himself and creating that chance for himself. Now, I'm not saying you should be selfish, but if you're a striker, that's your job. Put the ball back in the net. Don't let those defenders marshal you and cause a nuisance, making it run around, try and sort of drag him away to give the other player the chance to sort of get the ball back there. I'm sure over this year he'll get that, especially with Savio, obviously, Doku, and obviously the wingers sort of getting that ball line, crossing it into him. But I hope this first few games we start seeing him try and do that more, try and create his own chance, try and create his own chaos, and be that kind of player that we know he can be. But again, I'm not sort of being negative about it, but I'm being real from what I saw on that Saturday. I think you probably agree with me as well. It was positives more than negatives for the game. But I've still got to say as it is that we still got to see a lot more from Haaland.
I think. Go on, sorry.
Well, especially in we're going to talk about Wembley and that you got to try and see more from him in that kind of area.
Yeah, I think what it is his first season when we won the treble and he scored like 52 goals. I think he hit the height, and everyone season 2 was start last season were expecting you've hit 50 goals, go get us 75, and then season 3 go get 100, etc. I think everybody just got lost in the moment how good his season 1 was, rather than just thinking season 2 expect a drop off, and everyone's like thinking, Haaland, you shit, you're lazy, you're not making these runs. Now, don't get me wrong, I totally appreciate what you're saying about the striker role, but from where we was with the false nine stuff in the 22 season, where we didn't have a striker, it's just like at least we have this striker now that's putting the ball in the back of net, and whereas the 22 season we was missing all these chances because Gabriel Jesus couldn't even find his phone out of his back pocket. Now, at least we've got the Haaland, we've got the striker, and he might not be making these runs, but at least he's putting the ball in the back of the net for us. But just because of that season 1, how good he was, everyone just started slating him just for, oh, you're lazy, you shit, you're just like what was it, striker Lukaku, yeah, you're just like a Norwegian Lukaku. It's like, come on.
No.
I've seen that, but I just think everyone was just getting a bit like excited about his first season and expecting him to do exactly the same in season 2. But just be grateful we've got a player that's putting the ball in the back of the net, even though he does need to make a few more runs at least. But everyone's just expecting to be like basically 50, 75, 100, and then break all the records you can.
Look, for me personally, I just want him to try and hit that level of 52 consistently and then push for the 60. Obviously, because he can do that. He can.
I hear you, right, lad, but I'm not sure. It's just because obviously that season 1 he was a monster, as we all know. But how often? It's like, as much as it's against what we stand for, like with United, did you ever see Ronaldo scoring 50 goals year in, year out?
I mean, he did obviously for Madrid, but I know that's different.
La Liga lad.
Yeah, I know, but I just think for me personally, it's not the fact that I think he. Look, last year, right, he was injured for 3 months and he still got 38 goals. That's still ridiculously good for a player. Anyone do that good. But I'm just saying that his standards have been set for himself. I think he knows that himself. When you watch it, you can tell he's frustrated when he doesn't score. I'm saying that I think what he should try and do is try and target that. I'm not saying you get it every year, but if he can get towards the 40 50 goals a season, I mean, that's still insane for anyone at 24. I mean, he's got more goals than like Pele in that age, which was ridiculous. Or something. Other people will say otherwise, but statistically, wise, he's got more than most of the best goal scorers in the world at his age, and more than Mbappe. Well, Mbappe's not really a striker, but
yeah,
he's that kind of player where he's just thriving, and he'll only get better and better with age. And especially, bear in mind, he's not really his prime yet, Haaland. So, well, people say prime is differently, but I think for me, your prime's more like 28, 29 than it's actually 24. But everyone's different. But I think he'll be
26, I believe.
Yeah, but I mean, we've got him definitely for that time. I mean, people will say, "Oh, Barcelona will get him." No, Barcelona won't get anywhere near Haaland, mate. He'll sign a deal with us. He'll be here for a while longer for me, Haaland. He'll be here for a while longer.
Yeah, because obviously the dream was Man City's your stepping stone, as that was the rumour going round. And then obviously he'll be gone to Madrid in a few years. Real Madrid don't need him now because they've got Mbappe.
And also, as far as I'm aware, his dad doesn't like him either. Not does he? So they ain't going anywhere near Madrid anytime soon, mate. Or Barcelona, probably. I know.
And he won't go to Bayern Munich either.
Well, look, Barca for me, right? They could get him if they were the Barca of years ago. I wouldn't. Look, I understand because him in the Barcelona kit will look cool. I'm not saying I want to go Barcelona. I'm saying it looked cool in that Barcelona kit. But again, Barca aren't on that team anymore. Or
They
they're
ain't got
trying.
the money, lad.
Exactly. So
they're selling part of the grass of the Camp Nou, aren't they? Just to cover their own ass.
Well, look at Olmo. They've signed Olmo. Look, bear in mind, I'm not even thinking that because apparently from Olmo, we're waiting after him anyway. But I like Olmo. He's a good player. He's a good player. I think overall, if they do get him registered, it's a good move overall for him and Barcelona. But I just don't understand, right? For me, why they're trying to get these deals done when they can't afford to register players in. It's like seriously that it's quite mental how Barcelona are allowed to actually get away with that. But
Could you imagine if Barca was in the Premier League with all this PSR and FFP
no,
bollocks?
mate, it'd be screwed. It'd be
Yeah.
screwed, mate. It's why for me, right? I mean, obviously, because there's a book today come out. Is it by Marty Perrinel? I need to get it because I read other stuff. There's great books about Pep. It's about Messi. Now, for me, I'll always say the biggest what if for City in transfers isn't Kaká or Isco, it's Messi.
Messi.
Because we all know, people will say it's bullshit. Messi wanted to come to us for a long time. I think he knows maybe because if we had Messi right in that number 10 shirt at the Etihad with like Aguero, De Bruyne, Silva, obviously on top of Haaland as well down the line and that.
Yeah.
Mate, people don't understand like how that would have been like for us, right? Obviously commercial, obviously right now because Haaland's stature has blown up club anyway. But it's already huge to the roof anyway. But when you look at what he would have done for us anyway, just by joining us, like you think it's mad now. It would have been even more insane at this point if we had Messi playing for us for a few years. But for me personally, just to have seen someone like that play for us would have been unbelievable. Because it would have given the younger players as well in the academy, like Foden as well. Foden would have learned so much from him. And bear in mind, Messi often asks Aguero about Phil.
There you go then. It's the case of, especially when Foden was like coming through the academy, what could Messi have taught him?
A lot of that Barcelona team love watching us play. I think Xavi was sort of saying, I think Xavi and Iniesta, I think, love watching De Bruyne play. And there's a problem because I think people would say, oh, no, Busquets, Iniesta, Xavi are the best players they've ever had, Pep's ever managed. I don't think so anymore, personally. Look,
actually, right. Sorry. I'm just going to throw this one at you. Sorry, quickly. Right. LB has mentioned this a couple of times. Sergio Busquets versus Rodri. What are you going for?
Right. Now, I'm going to start this off before I say it. I love Sergio Busquets as a player. I've always have done because he's the most underrated player in a Barcelona team. People don't give enough praise for how good he was. Like defensively, going forward, he wasn't the best. He did a lot more passes, but he was a great defensive player. But if people are being real to themselves, Rodri's better. Now, people say that's blasphemy. I understand why, because that Barcelona team was insane. I love it personally. For me, it's probably my favorite non-city team to ever watch ever. Growing up, I love them so much. Like Messi, Villa, Eto, that team, unbelievable Barcelona players. Like it's why for me I love Barcelona as a team anyway. But now they're pretty mid now. But it's why I love Yamal. So I love seeing players that come through Barcelona. Kind of like is it Lopez as well. So some good players come through Barcelona right now. But yeah, Rodri for me, Godry. Yeah, that's what Godry for me. By the way. For me, Rodri just has that ability where he has the all round game of him. He can score goals. He can in big moments he can score. He can get assists. He can pass. He can defend. He's a more all round better midfielder than Busquets is, but people won't admit that because it's not nostalgic. Nostalgia, I think, definitely blinds people from how good players actually are. Like if we're being real, right? Did you ever really think? Right? Even if we had Haaland, do you think Alvarez would ever have matched Aguero?
Alvarez to Aguero. I've said it before with like obviously the running style, and running style of Carlos Tevez and the ability finishing wise of Aguero, but obviously Alvarez, I don't think he would have got to Aguero's ceiling.
No.
Just because obviously Haaland's been in his way for the last 2 years. So I just think that question, while I appreciate it, I just think it's a little bit hard to compare what could have been if, because obviously they both signed at the same day, didn't they? They both signed the same year. So you can't really put two and two together because Haaland's obviously was the main man. Alvarez was like the backup. Now, if Haaland wasn't here, then we could have had that conversation fully because Alvarez would have had obviously the number 9 role to himself. But it's about what does Alvarez do now in his career? Because obviously he's won a lot, which is all well and good. But it's about now he needs to show why he wanted to be the number 9.
Yeah, exactly. I think for me as well, I mean, exactly, Simon. Honestly, people don't remember because they have very short memories. But you and me can remember, Brigzy, when that first season. Bear in mind, Rodri, he wasn't even that bad, Rodri. It wasn't. Well, I know he wasn't perfect, but when you watch it back, he was obviously new to the team, but he still chipped in when he needed to. But it's like anything. We have Fernandinho at the time as well, obviously coming out, slowing down. But I remember, like, watching Rodri and thinking, "There's a player in there." I was just, and I always knew there was something in there, but he needed to find the confidence in himself to come out and thrive. But you've seen the last few years, he's just blown up into probably the best player in the world. People will say, "Oh, Bellingham will win it." Like, no, for me, it should be Rodri. Ballon d'Or Rodri for me, and exactly Simon. Yeah, he did. And don't get me wrong, I love Dino so much, but I think if I'm saying it's better Dino Rodri, it's Rodri because I mean Dino was brilliant at what he did. People don't understand how good he was for that, was it 8 or so years that he was here. Like Fernandinho was one of the best players I've seen play for City in that midfield position because he was a captain. He paid most of his fee off to join the club.
Just to join.
He's a legend in my that's a legend because he actually gives a shit. Even now with Savio, he gives a shit. Make sure that he's okay. And the Brazilian lads like that. People actually don't understand how important that is to have a player like that in your team, and as a club ambassador as well. How much he sort of helps the sort of players out. And I just feel like it's like he's unbelievable, Dino. But I mean, Rodri for me, people I'm not saying now, but for me, he is better, the best DM player that I think I've seen play. I think in the last time, probably for me.
I think what Rodri's got on Sergio Busquets is at least he's got the goals and the assists coming, whereas Sergio Busquets, what he has got over Rodri is the World Cup. But I'm not being funny, right? At least Rodri's won everything domestically because the World Cup's all well and good, and that Prime Spain team with Busquets in it was obviously 10 out of 10. But it's about what you're doing week in, week out. It's about what you're doing over 9 months rather than over 4 weeks. Like when we've discussed on this channel about England, the players, what they're doing over 4 weeks against what they're doing over 9 months for Man City and like Liverpool and Arsenal, etc. I'd rather see Rodri have a load more goals and assists, especially one that won you the Champions League, like off his own accord, than obviously have a World Cup to your name that was obviously granted over 4 weeks around world-class players like Casillas, David Villa, Sergio Ramos, Fernando Torres, you can name them all. But with Rodri, the goals that he scored have been important ones. They've been moments like in the treble, Everton away, Rodri, what season was it? The 90th minute win against Arsenal. Can't remember what season it was.
It was Jack's winner. It was Jack's first season.
Yeah. So he scored against Arsenal, last minute winner, and obviously he scored against Everton at home as well with that 40-yard banger. He comes up with big goals in big moments. That's what you're guaranteed with Rodri. With a Sergio Busquets, all you've got is a World Cup to his name. Now, I'm not slating the bloody guy here, but I'm just saying, at least our defensive midfielder has got something about him. He's got that cutting edge on the pitch, whereas Busquets has got a CV with that World Cup. What would you rather have? Something that wins you games like in the moment, or would you rather have something internationally?
Good point. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, we went from a whole 17-18 to full on Rodri and discussion. That's how. But then, look, at some point, I said before, we will discuss those first seasons on the Pep because honestly, there was some. The first year was definitely a bit of a slog. It was a slog that first year, but it was more the fact that we all knew, like, okay, it's going to take a while because it was a mess. That team when Pep came in, it was a huge mess. They needed fixing. I thought, give him a year at least, but the year after came good. But that first year was a lot to learn. That first year, a lot to learn. That first year, bloody hell.
With
But
respect, though, lad, I think you've got to look at it with everyone. Now, it's not just that season one team; it's every player that comes in, like the Jack Grealish, how he started off a bit slow, and obviously he's become more of a pivotal player. The same with Doku last season, how obviously he had a good start, but then he had a little wobble mid-season. It'll be the same with Savio. Don't expect Savio to bring fireworks straight
oh,
away.
well,
He's going to take time to settle in and learn the
yeah,
ropes. Same with
absolutely,
Rodri.
absolutely. Now, do you know what? We discuss the Bob. Look, it's a shame. We discussed what's going on obviously recently, but let's go on to actual Premier League, shall we? And discuss that. I mean, what we'll do, obviously, we'll actually do a little like predictions, I think, each week for the games and sort of see who think will actually win the games, obviously, and then obviously we're discussing cities, obviously City. So we'll start off with, sadly, down lot versus Fulham. It's the first game on Friday night, tomorrow night. Now, I'll be honest with you. I don't know whether Delit and Mazraoui will start. I doubt they will. I mean, if they do, I'll be very surprised if they sort of get in there straight away. I'm sorry, but I'll be up. I'll let it say playing styles. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I agree with Nick. Honestly, I'm back on the Rodri Busquets thing. I do agree. Very, very high standards of players there, and and I think that's one thing I'll say about both players. They're both unbelievable players in their own right. Obviously, do two different eras, but yeah, very much so. Very high standards. But going back to obviously the United game, I think for me, I think it'll be a United win. Fulham's win has been weird. Like they've lost Nickel Reed, lost Pahinha. I've got Muniz still. I've got Muniz. Obviously, I've got Jimenez as well. But it's a very weak team, honestly. I'd be very surprised if Fulham actually aren't in a battle this year because the squad doesn't really look as good as it was. Like they've got some still players that were still good last year, but Fulham particularly, I don't know, it's a bit of a middling team this year. Fulham. I mean, United obviously have invested obviously in certain players, but yeah, I think Simon's right. It could be a draw this game, or only United 2-1 win, like nick it at the end, something like that. It ain't gonna be a battering at all, personally.
I think with Fulham, more like, let's say, 12-13, but I don't think they'll be in a relegation battle because,
Nah.
with respect, I think there is enough quality there just to drag them through the relegation mud. I
Yeah.
just don't think relegation is not going to happen from a relegation scrap, to be respectful there. I just think standard 12-13, they'll do nothing great, but they won't be like as special. They won't be like shit either. It'll just be just get through the season, get enough points, like the 40-point barrier mark, and season's done and dusted then. Marco Silva, you know what you get from him. Like, he tries to play an attacking philosophy with possession there, but obviously his defence is so leaky. United at home, Old Trafford under the lights, they might ship 4 or 5 in just because the way first game of the season, Marco Silva ball, obviously he likes to go all out and it's risky in defence. Probably, I think you're looking at a 4-1 there.
Yeah, well, I think it'll be like a 2-1 United win, but I know it would probably if they do win 4-1 something like that. But
Mm.
going on to the first early kickoff, Liverpool at Ipswich, the first game Ipswich. Now the thing is for me, right? People go think, oh, it'll be a surprise. So Ipswich, no. Kieran McKenna, right? It's off. Look, his star player has worked. League One, the Championship has got a month's Premier League. But if there's no plan B to deal with teams like Liverpool, I know it's a different Liverpool to was obviously last year with Klopp. It's Slot now. But the style of play from what watch is very similar, but also a bit more progressive than was beforehand. And I think Liverpool are just going to have too much for them. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think they'll put up a fight, especially I was in their first home game. But I just think Liverpool, especially with Salah and the players they've got on the team, I just think they have too much for them. I think it'll be like a 3-1 Liverpool.
First Premier League game in about 20, 25 years. I mean, they'll all be buzzing. especially our friend from our old friend from Manchester City,
Absolutely, yeah.
absolutely buzzing. But I think what you've got to remember is, yeah, Liverpool, they've still got the key players, even though the manager's changed. The style of play is pretty much the same. I've kept an eye over Liverpool in pre-season because me and Jack have been watching a couple of matches, just when they've like collided with Man City late ones as well.
Yeah.
And Liverpool, I think they've had a good pre-season, so it's hard to say Liverpool are just gonna like be a bit slow with Arne Slot because there's what's the word similarities there between Klopp and Slot Ball, especially with these players that they've got now. So
Yeah.
you're probably looking at comprehensive Scousers win. I'd probably say 3-1.
Yeah, 3-1. Yeah, don't be wrong, right? I think Ipswich won't be embarrassing. I think they'll probably get a few prizes this year at some point, but not the first game for me. Not for me. Now, last season's second place champions, Arsenal, will play against Wolves. Now, Arsenal for me have done nowhere near enough required. Calafiori didn't even need their timber. They're after Marino for no reason when they've got Jorginho, Partey, players that still got in the clubs that haven't let go yet. They need a striker. They haven't got one. They've got Jesus, but who can't even do it anyway. Havertz, but he's the exact same kind of player. They're just standing still, aren't they, Harry? Like it's just Arsenal. Look, Arsenal, I think will be in there anyway because I think they're probably our closest challenger to the league this year. But Arsenal don't impress me at all this season. I know that they've been alright. And big up Phillips. I love that. If he scored against Liverpool, it'd be brilliant. that'd be hilarious.
Last
But
minute winner, Phillips.
mate, show it off. Come on, Calvin. No, probably not. But they'll probably play anyway. But I think Arsenal Wolves. Look, Arsenal will probably win because Wolves look a bit ropey anyway right now. Wolves, look, especially with the anyone come in yet? For Wolves at all? I don't think anyone come in for Wolves yet. Is it Kilman's gone. Neto's gone. Jesus,
I'm going to be real with you, lad. I don't have a clue about any other transfers in the league because, I mean, with this whole PSR junk, everybody's been doing literally nothing or next to little, if you like. There's not been no activity. So, I mean, it's hard to say what clubs have been doing good business or crap business because there's been that little.
Right, I'll tell you who Wolves have bought.
Got
I've got it up on transfer market. Be easy to do. Right, so they've signed a player called Rodrigo Gomez from Braga, is a young player. They've signed, a bit slow, Pedro Lima from Brazil, and they've got Tommy Doyle in on obviously on the purchase thing, and then they've got in
deal.
and they got in Strand Larson from Celta Vigo on a loan deal. He's not a bad player, by the way, but that's all they've got in.
He's the PSR junk, no lad.
It is, and Wolves just look very, very shaky right now. And I mean, they need more players than just obviously. Oh, I'm going to tell you. Yeah, it's just a bit dodgy right now for our Wolves right now. It's very dodgy, very. I do feel for my Alex partner Karras is a Wolves fan, so I really do feel for her right now because Wolves don't deserve this shit. I mean, they're a good team in their own right that I think should be actually aiming for more mid-table anyway towards Europe anyway. Wolves, but they're just sort of languishing there. If they're not careful, if one of those promoted teams puts up a fight, you might have Wolves in that battle this year. And don't be wrong, I don't mind Gary O'Neill, but has he really got that quality, a pedigree to sort of get this very inexperienced team now up there? He lost Neto, by the way. Lost Neto. Yes, you got some players still left in there, but they won't go. It's just a bit of a mess right now for Wolves.
Do you remember when Wolves first came back into the Premier League and it was consistently 7th, and they had João Moutinho, Ruben Neves, can't remember who the striker was, the Portuguese winger as well. They had a half a Portuguese team, and it was that consistent. It got into Europa League. Yeah.
Mate, that Wolves team was incredible to watch. So good.
It was consistently Europa League standard. Now, like you say, they're around bottom half of the table to relegation. If they're not careful, but obviously I'm thinking it's no fault of their own. Obviously, I can't say much because I'm not a Wolves fan, so I don't know the club circumstances. But no fault of their own, from my opinion. It's all this PSR shit, and now they're lingering to more like bottom half of the table. If they're not careful, they will be relegated in the coming years.
Yeah, exactly. Now, as a result, I think Arsenal will win. I think there'll be a 3-0 Arsenal win. I just think now look, Robbie and all these lot are saying that this year will be our year to win the league. Look, be realistic about your chances here. Look, be real. Don't lie. You haven't done enough. Yeah, I know you got time, but where's the
You should have
striker?
bought Osimhen.
Or Tony?
You should have bought Osimhen.
One of them two. Why haven't they got him? I'm not even saying that I want them in, but why aren't they in? If you want to win the league this year, because you say, this year we've been in 2 title races now, we'll do it the 3rd time. No, that's not how it works, mate. You actually got to earn it. You actually got to get the players in. Like Liverpool got the players they need to get in, and they beat us to a title. Fair play. I know we're shit as well, but Liverpool deserved to win that year because actually won their games, went on a massively unbeaten run, and won the league. But Arsenal,
But
though,
we were shit last season, but we only won the league because Arsenal choked.
Exactly. So Arsenal are literally 1 win away, theoretically, from actually winning the league.
If Arsenal didn't do what they did at the Etihad back in March, the end of March, they set up to play part of the bus, 10 banks at the back. If they wouldn't have done that, they'd have played the normal, natural, free-flowing football, like what they can do, and then they won that game at the Etihad, they might have gone and won the league, but they were celebrating the draw like it was the league.
Exactly. Look, I think this game will be a 3-0 win, but more because Wolves just aren't good enough right now. I mean, you never know. Wolves could surprise a few, but Arsenal should beat Wolves for a 3-0 on Saturday. On to Everton and Brighton. Now, this is a weird one because for me, Brighton have actually done all right. Like, I think they're getting in so far. Is it Ruterin from Leeds? They're getting in. Is it Kadioglu from Turkish? That's pretty good. So they're actually getting some good signings in now. Is it Mintel have got is a good player in preseason? Like, they've got a decent team that they're sort of building under this new manager. I mean, people say, Brighton are going to be like, bottom half. I think they will be. I think they actually will be around mid-table towards top half this year. I think Europe, no, not for me this year. Europe, that De Zerbi team was so good because everyone was working together in that. I mean, they've got a great team, by the way, Brighton, for a Premier League team. They've got, is it Pedro up front? They've got, obviously Ferguson, obviously, is well coming through. Mitoma, Minter. They've got a very, very good team of players. And Ciso, another player got back from injury. It's a very good team of players that will obviously do a good job and probably get wins here and there. I think they'll probably be all right to mid-table. But Everton, for me, how long can you keep doing this for? Because he lost Onana. Iliman Ndiaye is not a bad player, but are you really telling me that he's your saviour? Because that's a real gamble to bring a former Sheffield United player who went to Marseille, did nothing really at Marseille, and they're back at Everton now. Was it a Lindstrom from Napoli, who by the way, young player, a lot of potential ahead of him. But again, are you really telling me you're gambling your season on these 2 young players who, bear in mind, I'm not saying they're bad players. I think they're good players for them. But Everton's team is it's still the same as last year, pretty much for me. Doesn't really change Everton this year. I think if other teams get better around them, they could generally be in a relegation offer. I know last year they were like mid-table if there wasn't for points deductions, but how long can you keep persisting with Sean Dyche football, constantly getting mid-table when you want the team to obviously progress? Because look, Sean Dyche for me won't ever. I only did it with Burnley, but I don't think he'll ever get towards Europe again because it's not a football that works to that level. I think for me, if Everton want to progress and get themselves back to where they were again, they need to get a manager who's going to be progressive and get them. I'm not saying pep football, but someone who can re-get that club for an identity of style of play, like Moyes used to do. Bear in mind, years ago, obviously at Everton. I'm not saying it was easy, but it was what he did with Everton. They got to get back to that style, those days of football again. But I think for the moment, I just think they'll just either just about survive or be in a fight again. But I think in terms of this game for me, I think Brighton will win like 1-0.
Well, here's what we're going to do against Brighton. we're going to play counter-attacking football and we're going to park the bus, and that's what it's going to be about. Getting a 1-0 win against Brighton, and that's me, Dyche Ball. Love it. Name Sean Dyche. Got Belly into Europa League. Buzzing with that. Right, I'm back. Yeah, sorry. Thought I'd bring Sean Dyche into the room.
Like
But
mate.
yeah, I mean, I can do a Sean Dyche pretty well.
You can. It's very impressive.
Thank you very much. Well, what I was going to say about what's he called, Sean Dyche's Everton was, I was watching a Ben Foster podcast the other day, and he had Sean Dyche on, but obviously this was like when Sean Dyche got left Burnley and he was without a job. But he was on about when Burnley got into Europe that season, and he said the way they did it was like so like ridiculous. Like they went to European matches the night before, and they'd come straight back home after the Europa League match. And obviously, players were tired, players were jaded. They didn't have enough sleep, fitness. And like he said, he struggled in Europe, and he said Europe's a bad way for any club to go down because obviously with all like the training and like the travelling. But I don't think Sean Dyche would be able to handle Everton in Europe for that reason. After what I listened to his podcast about when he said with all like last minute travelling, and I was looking at the comments in Ben Foster's stream, and someone said, why didn't you like stay over in hotels?" He was like, because our budget was so strict. That'd be the same with Everton, because we know Everton are in the shit, aren't we, with their ownership. If somehow Sean Dyche would get Everton in Europe, it'd take its toll on him. And he said he was worn out with Burnley because of Europe.
Exactly.
If you look at the way his style of play is, Europe's evolved as well. So if you ever saw Sean Dyche in Europe, I think he'd get grilled, honestly, because obviously it's a lot faster. Teams are more like becoming more physical, especially in your Serie A and your Bundesliga. They're more physical now, aren't they?
Yeah, exactly.
Everton would get bullied.
They would.
I think for Brighton, now we've known Brighton for years. Your Graham Potter to De Zerbi, this young German manager is like 31 odd. Brighton are a progressive club, aren't they? So what they do with the academy, like promoting all these youngsters and like getting young players in, it worked well for them. Are they going to get Europa League? Probably not, but I would never say don't rule them out for getting Conference League, because there's always a shout for Brighton. Just the way they have this attractive style of play, and I think this new German manager, obviously quite young, so he'll understand like Jose Mourinho football, Tony Pulis football. They're not his era. It's more, I want to be like Pep Guardiola. I want to be like Klopp, especially with him in German. So he might have that connection with Klopp. So expect something from Brighton. Nowhere near relegation. Standard mid-table, promoting like the youth, promoting like academy players, and maybe signing one or two players as well. But long term, Brighton Conference League, there could be a chance.
Yeah. I think you're right. I just think I just think for me personally, I think it's more about how they start the season, really, to see where we're going to be.
Yeah.
I think the first 10 games are where you really see where a team develop, obviously, into where they're going to be. So I think this game, like I said, I think Brighton will win this game, personally. But watch this space of them. I think you're right. I think there's definitely something going on there, especially they get Rutarian from Leeds, Kalioglu obviously from Turkey as well. He's another good player from Turkey. So if they get more players in of good quality, you never know what can happen.
I just think Brighton are so predictable because obviously they've been around the Premier League for like 6-7 years. Well, 7-8 years now, haven't they? And obviously, when the transition from Graham Potter to De Zerbi, it was exactly the same. Young players, progressive style of play. You know what you're getting from Brighton. They're predictable. That's why I think they'll be standard, really. Now it's going to change.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, I think both of us kind of agree, obviously, on both teams, really. I think both teams are kind of sort of the same as well. I mean, Brighton probably obviously a bit different as Everton. But
I'd probably say a draw, mate.
Yeah, probably a draw.
1-1.
Yeah, fair enough. Now, Newcastle vs Southampton now. Now, I'll be honest with you. When I look at this game, I think Newcastle will win off the bat. Now, will it be a battering? No. I think when I look at this Southampton team compared to the last Premier League Southampton team, there's a style of play this time. There's a way of playing that I think. I know I'm not saying that they're gonna like up because obviously everyone plays sort of a similar way now, but I think if they could get a plan B, they've got every chance of staying up and doing pretty well this season. I think this will be a real test for them, especially with that. Obviously, got Howard Burst obviously at the back now with a new number and more. Obviously, he's now obviously at a team now full time now. You've got a very young team, obviously developing more. Obviously, you've got players obviously like Brenton Diaz who did much of United last year. Obviously, so it might have been a bad team. He was pretty good actually. So yeah, it's a weird one. I think that Newcastle have what was it? Is it a Vlach Demos they got in? The new keeper was it Ruddy? They got in. John Ruddy's come in from Birmingham, I think. So it's not really many players in really Newcastle. Really, it's been more of a quiet month. Well, window for Newcastle this time. I think Newcastle will win this game. I reckon it'll be like 3-1, but it'll be definitely a competitive game to watch. I reckon on Saturday.
I think it'll just be comprehensive Newcastle first game in the season. Howard Bellis, yeah, I know what we expect from him as City fans, but obviously he can just have a good individual game. But obviously, I just think the fair reflection of Southampton is they'll get absolutely destroyed at St James's Park because Newcastle are a far superior team, and they'll want this season for Newcastle. They'll want Champions League football back.
Yeah, they will, but
probably 3-0.
Yeah, fair enough. Look, if they get a draw there, that's a great result. Especially look, you got to remember, right? This is the same Saints team that was like up there towards like top 8 all the time. Like that was a great team that was constantly performing and improving every year. They're obviously trying to get back there, but it takes a long time. Now, especially in today's football, ain't the same as obviously getting back there. You got to work your way back there also buying players. They've brought players in, like is a Sugawara they got it from Netherlands, who's a good right back from obviously for Japan. It'll do a good job for them, especially if they keep Walker Peters as well. Two good fullbacks they've got there and a good defense that they're building. But I just think it's going to be one of those games where like it'll be a real indicator. I think it'll be like a necessarily embarrassing, but I think it'll be a very competitive game. But it'll be an indicator to see what they need to get in before the window closes because. Out of all the promoted teams, out of the 3 of them, I think they've probably got a better chance of staying up. I think Leicester have got too many issues behind the scenes, obviously with deductions and that kind of stuff potentially happening to them. Ipswich are a new team to this for a long time. I think they've got the best chance of staying up, but again, it depends on who they bring in now between now and the end of the month. But yeah, I agree. I think Newcastle will probably win this like 3-1 or something like that. Yeah. So
I got no further comment on that because I mean, like you say, it's just going to be pretty much first game,
Newcastle,
comprehensive, really.
Yeah. I say we'll do our obviously predictions for the league obviously after the window so we can sort of see who everyone brings in. Then we'll do a proper proper analysis of the teams and especially of the first 3 games and see where everyone is, going into that. Obviously the first break, which would be annoying to watch. Yeah, let's see. I think Calvin just obviously had medical now, which obviously that's going to probably happen to be announced probably in the next few hours, probably or tomorrow, probably. Yeah, good luck to him. But it's weird seeing him go from Leeds to City to Ipswich, though, isn't it? It's a real.
And West Ham in the middle.
I know, right? So Calvin now, bloody weird careers, haven't they? But on to Forest and Bournemouth. Now, Bournemouth for me look interesting because lost Solanke, but I think they got good money for him. For a player of his standard and his quality. Now they're getting Evan Nilsson, who's a good player for Porto, who is actually a good player for Porto as well. They've got in Cliver. They've got a few players, obviously, at the moment that they're sort of building up right now. They've got quite a good settled team. I think Bournemouth are looking pretty good this season. I'm not saying Europe. I think they'll be definitely mid-table definitely this season, but I don't think they're getting relegated. I think overall they have enough in their team experience in their team to at least stay up and sort of put up a good show this year. I reckon. I'm not sure about you, but that's why I'm looking at Bournemouth.
Yeah, Bournemouth, like you say, at least they've replaced Solanke with someone who looks half good. So fair play to Bournemouth for getting that deal over from Porto. I'm sure he'd be a good player to have, like obviously And by the look of it, from what I've read, he could score 15 to 20 goals. So Bournemouth at least have replaced Solanke's quality rather just like getting someone shit from the Championship.
Exactly.
I think he'll get some goals for Bournemouth, but Bournemouth. I know I said it about Brighton, but I think Bournemouth won't be far behind challenging Brighton for the Conference League, maybe.
Yeah, because both teams are investing in their
Yeah,
squads.
and we know what Bournemouth was like under Eddie Howe. The Spanish manager for Bournemouth, I can't pronounce his name. He
Irregular.
obviously, yeah,
Irregular.
he had a bit of a slow start, but obviously he's 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 got Bournemouth playing his way, and they've adapted to his philosophy, and now it's really taking off. So Bournemouth, don't be surprised to see him push the Conference League spot.
Yeah, I agree. I think Forest, though, for me, it's just a bit of a. I don't know. It's just. It's not. I'm not saying they're terrible, right? But they've brought like no one really in, have they? Really, it's just been a bit of a quiet one for them as well. Like, look, they've got Elanga, they've got Hudson-Odoi. They have some good players in their team, like Gibbs White. It's not like a complete disaster, but when you look at like other teams what they're doing, they can't just like Everton. They're just like kind of just well, Everton brought players in, but Forest are kind of just stood there watching on. Now I know they bought like 30 odd players the last 2 or 3 seasons, so you can't imagine that. I imagine they've got to try and balance it out a bit more, obviously, over the last 2 years. So I kind of get that, but it's just feels about like Forest are kind of just like trying to just hope for the best this year. Just hope that they can sort of stay up again and sort of just hope that that's enough for them, which was a good thing to do. Because at some point, you get caught out for it.
I'm just trying to think, but can't remember the other team who went up. You had Southampton, Ipswich. Can't remember the other team.
Leicester.
Leicester, yeah. For some reason, I'm not being funny, but I could just see Forest being the Southampton, Ipswich, and rather Leicester, it could be Forest.
Yeah, it could because Forest has done nothing. Like,
And they're always scraping by, just getting through like survivals. They're not offering nothing unique.
no,
Just scraping. I think it's their time.
I think so. Yeah, especially if Southampton or Ipswich or that. Sure, but Leicester depends obviously on that deduction. We'll see what happens obviously with that coming up. But one of those 3 teams could actually do well this year. So we'll see what happens obviously on that front. But yeah, I think Bournemouth. I think will probably win that quite around like 2-0 or 3-0. Bournemouth still looks very good this year. No
Bournemouth,
Solanke, but
like I say, yeah, 100%. But Forest, nah. Bournemouth could comprehensively win that game, probably 2-1, 3-1.
yeah,
Their style of play will just suit them. And obviously, it'll be more possession to Bournemouth and more shots on goal, etc.
yeah, exactly. Now on to the evening game: West Ham versus Villa. Now this is an interesting one because Villa have been a bit. Well, I can't blame them because it's not really their fault, but they've lost Diaby, they've lost Douglas Luiz, they've lost Irregular to Everton, but got Dobbin back because of the whole PSR thing. They haven't really like bought much that they really did this window, if anything. And especially with Europe and Champions League this year for them, the first time in a long time with Villa. I think this PSR has come at the wrong time because if they need to sell anyone, Diaby will still be here, and so Douglas Luiz. So it makes you wonder whether or not, again, these rules have fucked over the English teams because again, because the cartel want to keep their little group together. It's really the rest of the league.
Yeah, I think what they call it for Villa, it's a case of two things. One, they've seen how Newcastle performed, and yeah, it wasn't fair to Newcastle that they got the group of death, and they just went out just. But
Yeah,
with Villa, they've also got the league format of the Champions League this year, so it could obviously give them a distinguished advantage. And obviously, with Newcastle being in it last year, sell to buy all that shit. The same with Villa now. At least Villa have got like the league format to phase, which could obviously have a different impact. And they could look at Man City as well for like how we've like performed in Champions League, especially in our first early years, and just think, you know what? we don't want to go down that route of like obviously struggling, but it's about a learning curve. And with Unai Emery, the experience is there. He knows what it takes to win European competition. He won't allow that. Whereas Eddie Howe, he hadn't got no European experience until last season, really.
Yeah, exactly. I think West Ham, though, by the way, they have bought very, very well. I think they're probably the best team this window for me. They bought some fantastic players in. Fulkrug, is it the Kilman from Wolves, another good defender to help out in their team. They bought Wan-Bissaka is a great move, by the way. That's a great bit of business from.
He needed that move, Wan-Bissaka.
Yeah, I think I can see him really kicking on now at West Ham and really being a probably what that's why he was at Palace. Yeah, that kind of level of top right back
Yeah,
in the
he
league.
needed that move. It
I
wasn't
think
working out for him.
no, it was wrong team the whole time for me. I think I'm not saying he should come to us, but I mean one of them player that could have had a good chance if went to a different team. But when you look at it at the current West Ham team they've got right now, it's looking very good. Got some good players and some sort of full crew in there. I've got Paquetá, Kudos, Bowen. They've got some good players in that squad that coming through as well. Obviously, you got a Solar as well. This has been linked obviously from PSG today. Abraham as well potentially as well. So they're really sort of looking to invest in their team, West Ham, and get back into Europe again. I think they will. I think West Ham can have a very good chance of getting Europa League this year if they really kick on.
I saw someone say West Ham could finish above United because obviously the transfer business and like how they've gone about the transfer business with like Fulkrug coming in, Wan-Bissaka, they've bought the right players in the right areas. They've invested well and not just like said, let's do a Chelsea basically. Let's go all out and just buy players for fun. Lopetegui, new manager, he's got his own philosophy. He's got his own like selective group of players that he likes, and he's been scouting for years. They've probably listened to Lopetegui, and obviously time will tell. But I think Lopetegui's got the players he wants, and for the first time in a long time, West Ham have actually listened to the manager because obviously we've known what West Ham have been like over the years, like especially people like me and you were like seeing West Ham like 10 years ago, where obviously David Gold, David Sullivan, where they were just buying players just for fun. They wasn't listening to their managers. I think now they've turned the corner in terms of Lopetegui is the man we wanted, kind of like how Man City wanted Pep Guardiola. They've
Yeah,
probably got the best manager they've wanted, so they've got to give him the resources. And obviously, like I say, time will tell where they're going to be come the end of the season. And if they somehow sneak themselves into Champions League, fair play, but it'll just be maybe hard to say, but recipe for disaster because we all know what the downgrade of Europe comes for like these small clubs like West Ham, Villa, and Newcastle.
yeah, exactly. I think this game particularly. I think this game will be a draw. I reckon. I think it'll be I think it'll be like a 2-2 draw. A real entertaining game to watch on Saturday night.
Where's
Both
it at?
teams at West Ham.
Oh, nah. I'm gonna put 3-2 West Ham on then.
Ooh, okay, fair play. I like the sound of that. But yeah,
Gotta be.
it'll be a good game to watch though. Very good game to watch. I'm looking forward to watching that on Saturday night. Be good.
Can't believe that's not Super Sunday before our game.
Because no offense, right? I've got Brentford and Palace. Like, don't be wrong, right? That's not a bad game and all, but Brentford for me, and obviously we're going to that game right now. Obviously predicted West Ham, but I think we're a draw. We went 3-2. Brentford Palace. Now Brentford have obviously got a Carvalho in. Liverpool has a good bit of business from Brentford to get that in. But when you actually look at their team, I'm surprised that Visser is still there. So is Bummo. They shouldn't even be there still. I'm not being horrible. Bummo should be a better team by now. He's too good for Brentford now. Yet he's still there. So Tony. And I'm not on the go. I think, but if Brentford aren't careful and don't, and just try and stagnate from where they were going, obviously about a year or two ago, they can start getting pulled down into that relegation battle. And last year, they actually went that far off in the end.
I think for Brentford, with the players you mentioned, I think it's more about
FFP in it, because like you say, Ivan Toney's the big one. Why is he still at Brentford?
Yeah, exactly.
Why is he still there? Because obviously Arsenal need a striker. Tottenham need a striker because you don't trust Richarlison, obviously. Man United wanted Tony at one point. Even probably Chelsea must have been looking at him. But obviously, the big thing is FFP and the price Brentford are slapping on his head. Nobody's going to pay that for Ivan Toney. Yeah, he might score goals, but obviously, it's about can we afford him competing with FFP and PSR.
Yeah.
Some clubs won't be able to do it otherwise. One of them clubs that I've just said, and they're the big clubs, aren't they? Arsenal, Chelsea, United, and Tottenham. One of them four clubs should easily snap him up.
Mm.
So
Exactly.
Brentford, I don't know, mate. It's like one of them. He could probably end up staying at Brentford his whole career, the way this market situation is going.
Yeah, agree. I mean, Palace as well. I mean, Glasner last year was brilliant. Palace, like he really came in, really changed their style of play. I think Palace this year will do pretty well. I mean, obviously lost Elise, which is a real shame. But if they can keep like some other player or try and get someone in to obviously replace him, I think they've got a good chance of doing well. But I think the fact that they lost Elise, I think that's their Europe potential chance gone now. I think they haven't really got enough quality overall in the squad to do that again. Obviously, especially if Eze goes as well, as a big loss if he does go. So obviously we'll discuss obviously the actual league predictions later on. But in terms of this game, I think it will be a draw, 1-1. Maybe a Palace nick a win, but I think it'll be a 1-1 draw this game.
Personally, I just see like Palace just running away with it because obviously Glasner, his style of play is just going to be far superior to Thomas Frank because we all know what Thomas Frank does. He just sits back, doesn't he? He does not offer nothing.
No,
Glasner is more of a progressive approach, pragmatic approach.
because Frank used to be really good at that. Frank used to be really good at that progressive football. I mean, I remember watching it was at the Championship as well, and then watching him obviously in the Premier League. It's kind of regressed back, and it was a real shame. Obviously, some might say we're being wrong there, but I haven't really seen any difference from it for a while now. It's a real shame because Brentford, when they play football, are really good at it. They're probably one of the best teams to watch in the league at times, Brentford. But recently, it's regressed.
Stale.
Yeah, it's gone stale now. And Glasner's that kind of injection of energy we need in this league for a while now. It's good to see him in the league. But yeah, I think I'll go 1-1. Obviously, you'll probably go Palace win that one.
Yeah, I'd probably say 2-0 Palace.
Yeah, fair enough. Now, 4:30 Sunday night evening, Chelsea vs Man City. Now, obviously, you'll be there on Sunday.
Yeah,
So,
if I'm allowed in the stadium.
Yeah.
Me and them blue ultras don't mix well, especially when I'm drinking at 8 in the morning.
Blue itches, mate. Bloody hell. Oof. Yeah, I'm not feeling all too well. Yeah, but Chelsea City. Now, in the past, it was always a very tough ground to go to. Always has been. Last year was insane, 4-4, but then again, we were absolutely terrible. Both teams were terrible defensively.
Don't forget the Etihad game as well.
Oh God, yeah. One game because we scored goals we couldn't defend. The other game we couldn't score goals.
Exactly.
This season, we got to win this game. This is one game that we should have nicked it anyway. Last season, we didn't nick it in the end. There has to be a win this time. I mean, we've got to start the season as we need to go because Arsenal will be watching this game, particularly to see how we. I know it doesn't matter anyway because Arsenal could lose to Wolves and we could lose, but it doesn't matter. But they'll want to see how we're going to look this season. The result matters much to me anyway because everyone's quite edgy at the start anyway. But this game particularly, if we can make a statement and get a big win here, that sets us up very nicely going to the rest of the season. Obviously, gives that first break for the first 3 games in. I think Chelsea have bought way too many players. Honestly, it's a fucking just nightmare. Like honestly, every day I'm seeing a new player at Chelsea, like for Romano, like another here we go here and there. It's like it's absolutely mental,
mate. It's a Monopoly game they're playing. It's FIFA, it's Football Manager, Monopoly, anything what you want to call it.
Yeah, and then like my 2 best mates, right, are both Chelsea fans, right, and they just started thinking they have no idea what to think. I don't blame them. Like, us two would be the exact same about City. That's because I think what's the plan here? Like, look, Neto's a good move. That's a good signing in any other like situation. Then you got players like Mark Gu. You got like 7 keepers coming in one window that aren't going to play anyway. There's
Plus
no
the 8
plan.
contracts.
Renato, they just got players coming in for the sake of it. There's no actual proper plan in place, and you just know it isn't going to work out. Most of these players will barely play anyway. Like, you've got players already leaving permanently on deals anyway right now after getting in like a year ago. It's an absolute bloody mess. I just think, look, I know obviously it doesn't matter in terms of the actual game itself, right? But I'm just looking at it, I just think, honestly, personally, I think we'll win this game, but Chelsea as a whole are an absolute mess. I don't think, I think to the Europe, not this year for me. No.
So yeah, all I can say is I don't really rate Neto going Chelsea because why? Because it's Football Manager, it's Monopoly, FIFA. If it was a Roman Abramovich signing, I could analyse it, but for me, Neto, don't care because it's all like a Monopoly game at the minute. So that's all I'm going to say on Chelsea. But in terms of the actual game, we played them in pre-season, we whitewashed them, but that's pre-season. Enough said. Pre-season's done. It's competitive. You're at Stamford Bridge now. You're on their turf. We're not in America full of tourists where obviously it's just a kickabout. This is competitive game, and now at Stamford Bridge, their fans will be rocking as much as their window's been crazy. They'll just want to see Chelsea back where they belong, and obviously we know where they belong in a realistic world. Top 4 fighting for titles, like when we was growing up, but in a top baller world, they are where they are, mid-table. But Chelsea fans will want to see them back to the glory days. So they're going to be right on our asses. They'll want to beat us, and obviously with the Oscar Bobb news, it's rocked us. And I'm also considering the fact there's no Rodri, unless he's on the bench. Same with the English boys, and I've got to take into account the home and away games last season. Just exclude the FA Cup semi for a minute because that's an FA Cup semi-final. That could have gone to not penalties, extra time if we weren't careful. So just on the 2 league games alone, it's going to be very difficult. I'm going to be realistic there, lad. You've got to appreciate the scenarios I've just mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
You can't go in full guns blazing, expecting another pre-season whitewash. Doesn't work that way. But should we see the job off? Yes. Can we see the job off? Yes. But only if everyone's in the same direction, pulling together.
Yeah.
That means the fans in the stands like myself, and that means the players, if everyone's like pulling together as one unit, we can get through what's going to be a very difficult game, realistically. No Oscar Bobb, no Rodri, English boys, same thing. Away at Chelsea after last season's 4-4. If everyone's together, I'm really starting to sound like Big Steve here, but it's true. If everyone's together, we should win.
Yeah. No, I'm very sure Big Steve will obviously his preview. I mentioned tomorrow or Saturday anyway. I'm sure that same words you're saying right now. But yeah, I agree. I think we'll win the game, but it'll be a scrappy one. It'll be a scrappy game.
Be another whitewash, will it?
If it is, I'd laugh, but it isn't going to be. Because if it is a whitewash, then Chelsea is terrible. I'm not saying we're bad, but honestly, especially us in our first like game as well. Like, I reckon we'll win. Like, I reckon it'll be like I'll go 2-1. I mean, maybe 3-1 if we get a third one towards the end. But I think we'll win the game. But it's going to be a very close one. I think it's all about just getting the points on the board now. Points on the board, get it started, get us something. Don't care about being first. Doesn't mean nothing anyway. Just get the points on the board and get us started this season.
Yeah, I mean, what do you call it? When we go into next week's predictions, obviously we've got a fairly comfortable game with Ipswich, but Stamford Bridge, like you've said, over the years, it's been a solid, not a solid place, but very
mixed, very mixed.
Yeah, obviously pressurised as well because them Chelsea fans, especially in the Abramovich days, they was on top of you because obviously they was fighting for titles, fighting for Europe. Now, yeah, they want to get back to them days. So you've got to just appreciate the situation at the bridge. But
Yeah.
tell you what I will be doing. Wearing mascara. Mascara ball.
Mascara ball, bloody hell, man. Oh,
Get the mascara out, boys.
get the mascara out, lads. Come on, let's do it. But no, look, for me, get points on the board. That's all that matters. I'm not too bothered about goals we score. Just, as I say, we will judge the performances as they go along. Because the results for me right now are important. It's more about the performances I want to see get better as we go on towards the season. But get the win. That's what matters. Right? Get that win sorted on Sunday and get us on to the next game after that. And the final game, Leicester versus Tottenham. And that's an interesting one because I think for me it's a Leicester team that no one knows, no idea how to sort of just judge because obviously you got Steve Cooper, like their preseason's been terrible. They've been terrible this preseason. They've lost most of their games, haven't scored many goals. You got a 38-year-old Vardy almost now, in one last season in the Premier League. But by the way, it's still very good. By the way, he's still actually quite quick for somebody. So, but I just think this Tottenham team as well. Tottenham have been well. Obviously got players here as well, Tottenham, but they look a little bit obviously different now. Obviously with Solanke obviously coming in now, obviously it's a different team to what it was before. Obviously Archie Gray coming from Leeds. It's a weird one, but I think if I'm talking about the game particularly, look, obviously we'll judge Leicester's position, obviously depending on who they bring in after the window closes, especially with the link with. I'm personally going to go with Tottenham winning this game. For me, much better team, better manager, better star player. I Leicester at home, but Leicester's whole environment right now is pretty toxic right now. It's pretty low. Like it's not looking good right now for Leicester.
Oh, it's not the same Leicester as it was like 3-4 years ago, like under the Brendan Rodgers era.
Mate, even last year, mate. You said, like last year they won the league, but it was very muted. Like they won the league, but it wasn't the same fan goodwill, was it? It was very mixed.
They did the top 6 are over for them.
Yeah, I think for me, Leicester, if they're not careful, will be a team that goes up and down the league. If they're not,
so like basically another Watford to Norwich, even Hull,
and Fulham used to be as well. So yeah,
exactly.
I fear for because Leicester should be in this league anyway. They should be here. They should be in this league competing, for Europe and that as they were beforehand. But they fall off massively and aren't the same team they used to be. I think Tottenham, especially under Andrew's obviously second year, obviously 1 year in, obviously into his tenureship, obviously got into Europe. Obviously, is it fifth last year? Fifth or sixth? Fifth, wasn't it? Fifth, yeah, it was fifth. It was fifth. It was. I think it was fifth. He got in the end. Yeah,
was he?
It was fifth. I think it was.
100%, lad. I can't remember now.
Yeah, it was fifth.
Right, fair enough. It just don't feel like a fifth place team.
No, but what was it? Europa League.
Yeah.
It was a new start for these players, but I'm surprised.
Oh no, you're right, aren't you? Yeah.
It was Chelsea got sick. Well, yeah, sixth for the end.
And United were in 8th,
and we gave Europe. Fucking. Oh man, yeah, we did.
Yeah, but I'm going to tell you a little story though. I am absolutely surprised. Ange Postecoglou is still at Tottenham after his outrage against Man City last season, when he was like, why? When he started questioning the mentality of Arsenal, I mean Tottenham fans, and he was like questioning the board when everyone was like, "We want Man City to win."
He was like, right.
Why are you saying that?
He was right.
It's supposed to be Tottenham.
He was right though. He was right what he's saying.
Yeah, but I just thought the way he was like so angry about the whole situation.
Yeah, I know.
I thought he was gonna like say, "I'm done." It was like he was ready to say, "I'm going to resign at the end of the season because this isn't right. This mentality is not what he believes in with his philosophy."
Yeah.
And you've seen his attitude and you've seen his philosophy. He wants to have a winning mentality. He wants everything to be positive and pro. But when he was on about that mentality thing after the Man City game, I thought he's going to chuck the towel in.
Yeah, I know, but he's still there though.
True.
I think Solanke, for me with Solanke, right? This is gonna be for me the making of his career or not. This now, this move is going to really decide whether or not he's really
His
going to,
next step.
really kick on now, or will he be just a striker that's known for being a mid-table striker? Because if he kicks on for Tottenham and delivers, like, I'm not saying Harry Kane numbers, but very, very good numbers in his first year and kicks on to be better and better as the season goes on, then he'll be a big player in high demand, obviously, down probably even bigger clubs down the line. Because Tottenham, for me, this year have to win a trophy this year. They have to, a League Cup or something like that, because it's been way too long for a club like them anyway.
Where do
also-
you see him winning a trophy?
League Cup.
Nah, I can't see the League Cup. That just stinks of like Man United or Newcastle or Villa.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Not us though. Definitely not us.
No, we're more FA Cup, but I can just see United, Newcastle or Villa doing the League Cup, whereas Tottenham, nah.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah,
That squad is not going to win anything.
No. But in terms of actually the actual game, I think Tottenham will beat Leicester quite quick. I think we'll be at 3-0 Tottenham. I think Leicester have got a lot of work they've got to do for that team. It's a very, very average team.
3-1.
Yeah. 3-1, yeah. Yeah, but after predictions, obviously, for the game on Sunday, obviously, and this week, what we'll do go forward is do this every week. I think we'll do next time is have a guest on next time as well. So there's 3 of us next time, whoever it may be.
I'm trying to message Jack, see if he's available.
Yeah, Jack or whoever possible. We'll have someone obviously with us next week to sort of discuss the games. But yeah, say another very good stream to chat about the games, obviously, and the Bob situation. I say I'm sure we'll have plenty more to discuss about transfers. Obviously, especially the last 2 weeks as we've seen the window. Especially with us going for like 2 players now. So guarantee, right? Deadline day is going to be an interesting one for us this year. I reckon it's going to be a big one.
We might see Pep Guardiola in his car like a Redknapp used to do.
The Range Rover. I want Izzy. I want Izzy. I want Izzy.
Oh no, I've got a good one.
Oh, good God.
Imagine something like Eze is doing like a Peter Lord wingy. He says he's coming to Man City and then he pulls out last minute, stays at Palace.
Oh God, imagine! I remember that. I was laughing. Always the QPR. It didn't work out. He had to go back to West Brom. That was a
wingy moment was class.
That was wild, mate. Obviously, deadline day in the past before Romano used to be a proper event.
Sky Sports News, mate. I was actually, before we end the stream, I was saying this to someone on Facebook the other night. What's happened to Sky Sports News? Because it used to be shirt and tie, ladies like with the dresses on, looking very formal and presentable. Now you just see everyone in like hipster t-shirts, hoodies, sparkly trainers.
It's just very like generic, isn't it? Well, like I'm not saying that I want everyone to do up, but the reason why Sky Sports was so respected was because it was professional and took itself seriously. Now it's like
even your programs.
TalkSport the same now as well. They're the exact same TalkSport, the exact same. It's just really it's really YouTube, but I don't want YouTube. I've got YouTube here to do this. Give me a professional.
YouTube's our own thing, but Sky Sports trying to copy that model because they know they can't compete with like your Romanos, David Ornsteins on the media on Twitter.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but that's the thing though. I reckon this 2 weeks we're quite mad. I say next week we'll obviously be back discussing the games, and obviously looking forward towards next week as well. Obviously, and the next big game for us against Ipswich. But yeah, it's gonna be an interesting weekend. Bring it on. The league is back finally, Harry. The season's back. We've finally got through the horrible summer of England and the Euros and the boring, the PSR. Now we've got Carsley Ball. We're back. Yeah,
you do know that was a joke when I messaged you, by the way. You was like, bloody hell, lad.
I know it was a joke.
You think I would really turn on you like that?
Yeah, I know, but I was joking. I knew you were taking the piss anyway, but no.
I'm not being funny, right? But I'd rather go watch bloody Scotland.
Mate, Steve Clark Ball's better than Carsley Ball.
Exactly.
But yeah, anyway, enough of England. That's for the first break in September. We're going to discuss that at some point. Bloody hell.
3 weeks to go. I'm counting down the days.
Bloody hell, 3 weeks to go. That's way too short, that is. It should be longer than that.
Please, Carsley's Barmy Army. End the stream.
From Capello to Carsley. Bloody hell. Anyway. To everyone watching the stream tonight, I appreciate everyone for tuning in. Like, subscribe to the channel. You know, we get really pushing on towards obviously getting the channel obviously more content this year, more streams, more videos. This is our first full year doing the channel this year. Big up Brigzy for always coming on Thursdays, obviously, and discussing football with me and City. Always appreciated. Everyone, we'll see you guys over the weekend, obviously, for more videos, obviously discussing the games. We'll see you guys soon. Take care, everyone. Have a good evening.